Welcome to the Rhetoric Lab, where we translate the world's nonsense. Today's specimen, on thin ice. Let's begin. This phrase appears whenever someone is dangerously close to messing up, and everyone knows it, including them. If you hear, "Hey, you're on thin ice," that's not feedback, that's a countdown. It means you're one mistake away from consequences, disappointment, or someone finally snapping and saying what they really think. So today, we're breaking down why humans compare social danger to frozen water that cannot support your weight. The origin isn't complicated, it's literal. Walking on actual thin ice is dangerous. The surface looks solid, but it can crack beneath you at any moment. The risk is invisible until it's too late. So the phrase evolved into a metaphor for being in a risky position where one wrong move could lead to trouble. In early literature and everyday conversation, thin ice became shorthand for shaky trust, fragile patience, or unstable situations. People didn't need metaphors. They needed warnings. And nothing warns like thin ice. Psychologically, on thin ice reflects tension. The kind where people feel pressured to behave perfectly because the margin for error has disappeared. It taps into fear of rejection, punishment, embarrassment, conflict, or disappointing someone important. When someone says you're on thin ice, they're signaling that your actions have used up the available goodwill. And now every move counts. It's psychological scarcity. But instead of money or time, it's patience that's running out. In daily life, this shows up everywhere. Your boss gave you 3 reminders, 2 warnings, and 1 look that said, "You are now a liability." You show up 5 minutes late again, and they quietly say, "You're on thin ice." Translation: one more slip, and this job becomes a memory. You forgot an anniversary, then a birthday, and somehow also the name of their favorite restaurant. Your partner takes a long breath and says, "You're on very thin ice." Translation: start improving or start praying. You tease your sibling one too many times during the holidays, and your parent says, "That's enough. You're on thin ice." Translation: stop now before I say something I regret or don't regret. Rhetorically, this phrase does 2 things simultaneously. It warns without exploding, and it communicates consequences without describing them. It allows someone to set a boundary without raising their voice. It also externalizes the danger. Instead of saying, "I'm losing patience," the speaker can say, "You are on thin ice." That shift makes the warning feel less emotional and more situational, even though the situation is the emotion. So here's the translation. On thin ice means you're out of chances. One more mistake and you're done. It can also mean, my patience is nearly gone. Your behavior is risky. You're pushing your luck. This is your last warning. It's not dramatic, it's precise. The phrase reminds us how fragile trust and tolerance can be. Most human relationships rely on invisible agreements, and when those agreements get strained, the ice beneath us spins. The lesson isn't to live in fear, but to understand that actions have weight. And thin ice isn't about danger, it's about awareness. So the next time someone says you're on thin ice, slow down, step lightly, and reassess your footing before the crack becomes the consequence. This has been the Rhetoric Lab. Keep your mind sharp and your ears even sharper.